The August primary election is in the rearview mirror as winners move on to November. We take you behind the scenes of the ballot counting process, and the Ridgefield Raptors prepare to wrap up their inaugural season. Those stories and more on today's edition of the Week in Review from ClarkCountyToday.com. Hey everyone, I'm Chris Brown. A very happy Friday to you all. It was a busy week here at Clark County Today as we tracked your primary election results. In the Vancouver City Council races, former City and County Council member Jeannie Stewart and Camas City Planner Sarah Fox emerged from the field of 7 candidates in the race for the 6th seat. Incumbent Eric Paulson will face off against Maureen McGoldrick in the Position 2 race. In Battleground, Shauna Walters and Neil Butler moved on to vie for the open Position 3 seat, while 7th seat incumbent Philip Johnson will face off against Josh Van Gelder, meaning the 2 candidates running on the gun rights platform will move on to November. You can check out coverage of all the races at ClarkCountyToday.com, of course. On Tuesday evening, we also had the chance to go behind the scenes and find out how your votes are counted. Inside a locked room in the Clark County Elections Building sits a locked closet, opened only on election night. Shortly before 8 p.m., Assistant Election Supervisor Rich Cooper begins loading data from several secured USB memory sticks containing voting data from ballots returned leading up to the election. Computers in the room are used for tabulating ballots. Another room nearby hosts a system designed to examine ballots with mismatched signatures or problems with how candidates are marked.
Very secure, and of course, no internet connection. You can see our connections from from our adjudication to our central count. That's the only kind of connection there is, and it's just from that system to that. There's no internet, no network of any type in here.
Just after 8, the thumb drives are loaded one by one into an especially isolated computer, that one inside the locked closet, and printouts are made and handed to Clark County Auditor Greg Kimsey, who then makes copies and heads to the nearby Clark County Public Service Building where many candidates wait for the results. How are you feeling?
I'm happy about it. I feel good about it.
The following day, a select number of ballots were hand counted in order to verify that the machine results were accurate. This was also the first year for the state's new same-day voter registration system, and Garber says 8 people registered and voted on Tuesday. Garber says the new Vote WAS system acted as expected on Tuesday with no major incidents that came after what the Secretary of State's office called a Herculean effort on the part of their software vendor and county elections departments to squash a few bugs that had popped up and delayed getting ballots to voters this year. There are a few more additions to the system coming between now and the general election. In his editorial this week, ClarkCountyToday.com editor Ken Vance shared his thoughts on the public's reaction to the recent mass shootings in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. As is often the case when tragedies like these take place, there is a reaction from the public and the media as to how to prevent them in the future. A popular reaction by many is to focus on the weapons used to commit these horrific acts of violence, but Vance offers that it's not the weapons that are the cause of the mass shootings, rather, it's the individuals who are to blame. You can't legislate morality, Vance says, echoing a sentiment held by many. Vance did add that he would have no problem with mandatory background checks or licenses for all gun purchases. He even questioned the need for assault rifles, but in the end, Vance offered the suggestion that we as a country should focus more on developing citizens with character and integrity by focusing on education, discipline, the disintegration of the family, mental illness, and drug and alcohol abuse. Got a hot take on Ken's comments? We'll join our lively online community on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram and sound off. Speaking of sounding off, residents around the Vancouver Navigation Center remain vocal about their concerns with crime and drug use surrounding a day center there operated by Share. This week, Vancouver City Council heard a list of recommendations to address those issues, including limiting access and working to discourage people loitering outside the building near 4th Plain and Grand. The city will hold off on major changes until after San Diego nonprofit Alpha Project, a homeless outreach group, has a chance to review operations at the day center and provide feedback and advice. That is expected to happen sometime in September, so stay tuned. Time now to check in with Paul Valencia for your Week in Review sports updates.
Happy Friday, everybody. Hey, this week in sports, we threw a little curveball. Went to the Clark County Fair. We saw mutton busting. That's right, we watched these 3, 5, 7-year-old athletes hold on for dear life on sheep as they rode throughout the arena, rodeo style. Some went a few seconds. Most fell off in about a nanosecond. Some, weren't too happy with falling down on the dirt, getting run over by sheep, but most had a good time, and it really is a crowd pleaser. Mutton busting. If you get a chance to see it next year at the Clark County Fair, go for it. Also at the fair, we met some dogs, some flying dogs. Okay, they don't really fly, but they do catch some big air. The dock dogs. Hey, I found out a lot about the dock dogs. There are people who travel the country all summer long, all the fairs, and they compete for prizes. It's amazing. These dogs go forever. One dog this week jumped 32 feet. That's impressive. Back to more traditional sports, the Ridgefield Raptors will wrap up their inaugural season this weekend at the Ridgefield Outdoor Recreation Complex. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are your last chances to see the Raptors in action this season.
All right, thanks so much, Paul. And there you have a quick look at some of the top stories of the week from ClarkCountyToday.com. Be sure to check us out on social media to see when stories are posted and be part of the conversation. You can also send your news tips to us via email news@ClarkCountyToday.com. For all of us at Clark County Today, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.